Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Kendra Cook. Dolores County Broadcasting Network is the producer of DCTV with support from the Southwest TV Translators Association.
If you have a news topic or event you'd like to see covered, give us a call. The studio number is 677-4119.
Today's show runs Monday at noon, 3 and 6 p.m. and again is re-aired later throughout the weekend with the other weekday broadcast replays. Today is June 11th, 2018, and now the news at noon.
Reported by the Cortez Journal with a photo by Jerry McBride with the Herald. The 416 fire worked its way to North Buck Creek and the Buck Creek drainage on Sunday and grew to 16,766 acres, almost doubling in size in a 24-hour period. On Sunday evening, fire officials said the fire was acting as predicted and burning actively and intensely with wind gusts of up to 35 to 40 miles per hour on ridges. The fire's southwest flank has now moved into North Buck Creek and the Buck Creek drainage. It continues to progress through Hermosa Creek drainage. The fire is moving through the two drainages at a moderate rate of speed, fire officials said. Multiple aircraft on Sunday evening were actively dropping water and retardant. The fire is about a quarter of a mile from the nearest house, and fire officials said structure protection is in place. Sunday morning started off with more evacuations. An order was issued to 675 residents at 9:45 a.m., including Purgatory, Durango Mountain Resort, Lake Purgatory, Silver Pick Lodge, Cascade Village, Mill Creek, and all residences on both sides of U.S. Highway 550 between mile markers 46.5 and 53.1. The active fire behavior also closed Highway 550 from Cometti Mead Lane in Hermosa to the top of Mullis Pass between mile markers 32 and 64. According to the Colorado Department of Transportation, the highway is closed indefinitely. Large smoke columns visible Sunday from Durango came as fire behavior intensified near the lower Hermosa campground and burned conifer stands. The fire in this area is behaving as predicted, according to fire authorities. Aircraft are monitoring the fire's west flank. No structures have been lost.
From the Journal, the latest on the Burro Fire. Photo credits Emily Rice and Jimmy Miyaga. The Burro Fire northeast of Dolores started in the Bear Creek drainage on Friday and has rapidly grown to over 1,000 acres. The main fire is burning in steep spruce fir timber 5 miles up the Bear Creek Trail on the south side of the canyon. On Friday, embers triggered spot fires on the north side of the canyon. About 130 wildland firefighters are on scene and there is 0% containment. Hand crews on Sunday focused their efforts near roads on the southern end of the fire, where the mixed conifer timber, including dead or fallen ponderosa pine and fir, was more dense. The steep, rugged terrain of the Bear Creek area has limited the crew's mobility. According to Pat Seekins of the Dolores Ranger District, fire personnel include a fire engine and hotshot crews from Idaho, Nevada, Montana, and Colorado, as well as smoke jumper crews from Idaho. The cause of the fire is unknown and is under investigation. Lightning hit the area on June 3rd and is a suspected cause. The Burro Fire sent up a towering plume of smoke adjacent to the massive plume coming from the 416 fire, which has scorched over 16,000 acres as reported, and it's 13 miles or so away north of Hermosa along U.S. Highway 550. Beginning Monday, the Burro and 416 fires will be managed jointly under a Type 1 firefighting crew, which allows for the highest level of resources, including hand crews, equipment, and air support. The San Juan National Forest has been closed due to both fires, including the Colorado Trail from Mullis Pass to Junction Creek. The closure prohibits all public entry into the closed area, including campgrounds, trails, trailheads, and National Forest System roads. It will remain in effect until July 31st or until rescinded, though it can be extended because of fire activity. Violations of the closure carry a penalty of at least $5,000 and 6 months in prison. The existing order to close the Hermosa Creek watershed remains in effect. On the front lines of the fire Sunday along the rim of Bear Creek Canyon, wildland firefighters marched single file towards the blaze as white smoke billowed into the air and nearby trees ignited into flames called torching. Due to the intensity of the fire and the steep, rugged terrain, directly suppressing the fire by hand right now is not an option for safety reasons, said Incident Commander Jeff Thum. Firefighters worked to establish containment lines, beginning with an anchor point on the fire's southwest edge along Forest Road 561, northeast of Transfer Campground. The plan is to create fire breaks to prevent it from spreading west towards the Dolores River, where there is private property, and southward onto Hay Camp Mesa and the Transfer Park area. We've located a containment line and have 2 dozers arriving Monday to help create a line along the rim of Bear Creek Canyon, Thum said. Once the fire reaches flatter ground, then we can more actively and safely engage it. Fire behavior includes single and group tree torching and limited crown fire activity, he said. On Saturday, crews conducted backfire operations on the canyon rim along Forest Road 561 to eliminate fuel and reinforce the fire break at the edge of the canyon. Due to extremely dry fuel conditions without rain, the fire will continue to grow, Thum said. It will keep going until the monsoons, he said, which do not typically arrive until July. Tree moisture was measured at just 80% when normally at this time of year they are at 200%, Thum said. The trees are stressed and dry and ready to burn. Fire behavior was erratic on Sunday in windy conditions, said Lyle St. Goddard, superintendent for the Chief Mountain Montana Hotshot crew. We've initiated a good containment plan, he said. The fire is moving toward the south, east, and north, and that is a good direction because it is away from the structures along the Dolores River. Where the fire is spotted across the Bear Creek drainage has the potential to make a significant run into remote forests towards the northeast and northwest. There are no structures or private property in that direction, Thum said, but if needed, they would like to minimize fire impacts to a waterway containing a rare greenback trout population. Fire modeling shows there is potential for the Burro Fire and nearby 416 fire to merge. Public Information Officer Stephen Orr said Southwest Colorado is a high priority in the West for wildland firefighting resources due to the extreme drought conditions. A new specialized medical unit called a Rapid Extraction Module will be arriving at the Burro Fire for firefighting safety. Air support is available and will be used when most effective. Dumping fire retardant in the thick timber has limited benefits, officials said, because it does not penetrate well. Joe Rowell Park in Dolores will be filling up with the firefighter camps and accommodations in the coming days, said Montezuma County Sheriff Steve Nowlin. Dolores High School will be open for firefighting operations, including an incident command center. Nowlin said they are contacting residents along Colorado Highway 145 near the fire to advise them of beginning to think about potential pre-evacuation notices. We're telling the public to keep informed and comply with the fire ban and closures. There have been no injuries or structures lost due to the Burro Fire.
According to the Cortez Journal, 2 people died Thursday night in a head-on collision near Toyac, according to the Montezuma County emergency personnel. The Cortez Fire Protection District, Ute Mountain Ute Fire Department, Montezuma County Sheriff's Office, and Bureau of Indian Affairs responded at 10:44 p.m. to a 2-vehicle crash on U.S. Highway 160 about 3 miles south of Toyac. Both drivers, one male and one female, were pronounced dead at the scene, and a female passenger was transported to Southwest Memorial Hospital in critical condition. BIA officials who are investigating the crash declined to release any further information Friday morning. Cortez Assistant Fire Chief Sean Biddles said firefighters from Cortez and Toyac extricated 2 of the vehicle's occupants, while Montezuma County deputies provided traffic control. The highway was closed in both directions for about 3 hours. Officials would not release the names of the vehicle's occupants or the suspected cause of the crash. It was the second fatal crash in Montezuma County in a week, following the death of a Mancos resident after a collision near the entrance to Mesa Verde National Park on June 1st.
From the Journal, San Juan National Forest closures Ground Cog Lake RV Park still accessible and open with good fishing, owner Bonnie Candelaria reported. The San Juan National Forest plans to close the forest to most entry this week to protect natural resources and public safety because of the fire danger. The closure order is expected to be signed Tuesday and remain in effect until the forest receives sufficient moisture to improve conditions, the forest's acting public affairs officer Cam Hooley said in a press release on Sunday night. The closure order will prohibit entry into the San Juan National Forest, including entry by the general public, most administrative entry by Forest Service employees, and most uses authorized under Forest Service permits and contracts, the press release said. Under the Stage 3 closure, campgrounds, day-use areas, roads, and trails will be closed. Wilderness areas, hiking, dispersed camping, and other recreational activities will be prohibited. Exemptions might be granted on a case-by-case basis with a written authorization from the Forest Service, which would include specific requirements for fire prevention. Exemptions must be requested from the appropriate district ranger. Federal, state, or local officers conducting specific duties are exempt. The McPhee Reservoir boat ramp and marina will likely remain open, but no shoreline use would be allowed, the press release said. The San Juan National Forest covers 1.8 million acres within the Dolores Ranger District, the Columbine Ranger District, and the Pagosa Ranger District across 9 counties in southwest Colorado. County and state roads and U.S. highways that cross Forest Service lands will not be affected by the order. Ongoing road closures due to the 416 fire will continue to be managed by by the La Plata County Sheriff's Office. Businesses in local communities will remain open for business during the forest closure at their discretion. The San Juan National Forest implemented Stage 1 fire restrictions May 1st and Stage 2 fire restrictions June 1st. Violating Stage 3 fire restrictions or going into a closed area carries a mandatory appearance in federal court and is punishable by a fine of up to $5,000 for an individual or $10,000 for an organization, or imprisonment of up to 6 months or both. The signed closure order will be posted on the San Juan National Forest website. For more information, contact the Forest Supervisor 970-247-4874, the Dolores Ranger District 970-882-7296, the Columbine Ranger District 970-884-2512, or the Pagosa Ranger District at 970-264-2268.
Reported by the Durango Herald, the past flu season was the deadliest for U.S. children in nearly a decade, health officials said Friday. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention officials said they had received reports of 172 pediatric flu deaths since October. That surpasses the 2012-2013 flu season, when there were 171. An average season sees about 110. There were more deaths in 2009 and 2010, but that was when a rare flu pandemic occurred involving a new strain. More than 300 children died that season. Besides the pandemic year, this past winter had the most pediatric flu deaths since the CDC started counting them in 2004. The past flu season wasn't a pandemic, but it was long, 19 weeks. It also was unusually intense, with high levels of illness reported in nearly every state 4 weeks on end. The season peaked in early February. It was mostly over by the end of March, although some flu continued to circulate. The most recent pediatric death occurred in late May. The season was driven by a kind of flu that tends to put more people in the hospital and cause more deaths, particularly among young children and the elderly. Making a bad year worse, the flu vaccine didn't work very well. Flu vaccinations are recommended annually for all Americans who are 6 months old or older. Some of the children who died this past year were too young for the shots. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has vaccination information on only about 140 of the children who died who were old enough to be vaccinated. Of those, only about 1 in 5 received the vaccine before they became ill, CDC officials said. About half of the children who died were previously healthy. They didn't have a diagnosed health condition that might have made them more vulnerable to the flu, the CDC said. And now let's take a look at the weather.
Let's take a look at this national weather map from NOAA for today, June 11th. While the western states and southwest remain dangerously hot and dry, there's actually a prediction for potential rain and snow mix in the upper Rockies across Idaho and part of Montana. Meanwhile, the active weather patterns bringing rain and thunderstorms settle across most of the eastern half of the U.S., with the exclusion of New England from parts of Pennsylvania on to north. Particularly heavy storms and flooding are a major concern over the central plains, making farming conditions worse with sustained saturated soil. Another area of concern to flooding stretches from Kentucky, West Virginia, and Virginia. And we also are keeping an eye out for Hurricane Bud, who's a Category 2 storm off the Pacific coastline of Mexico. And it looks like it will weaken as it progresses north, but may come onto land in the Baja later in the week, with the chance of bringing moisture to the southwest. So we will definitely be tracking that storm as it progresses. Regionally, there is a hazardous weather outlook for eastern Utah and western Colorado. The dense smoke from the 416 fire will continue this morning for areas along Highway 550 south of Mullis Pass, including Durango towards the New Mexico state line and eastward towards Pagosa Springs. A dense smoke advisory will remain in effect through at least noon and maybe into the night. Outside of smoke, high pressure builds in, bringing sunny skies and warm temperatures. High pressure builds up today as the hot and dry conditions continue. The jet stream is taking the conditions that brought in all of that wind out to the north and east, so calmer air conditions should prevail. From midweek onwards, the chance of precipitation increases into the weekend as we talked about the effects of Hurricane Bud. We'll have more details on that possibly later in the week. Today, in the 5-day forecast, sunny with a high near 82 degrees, north winds around 5 miles an hour, becoming west-southwest in the afternoon. Tonight, clear with a low around 55, west winds around 5 miles an hour, becoming east after midnight. Tuesday, sunny with a high near 88 degrees, east winds 5 to 10 miles an hour, becoming west-southwest in the afternoon. Tuesday night, mostly clear with a low around 56, west-southwest winds 5 to 10, becoming east-northeast after midnight. Wednesday, mostly sunny with a high near 87 degrees, and east winds 5 to 15 miles an hour, becoming southwest in the afternoon. Wednesday night, mostly cloudy with a low around 57. And then Thursday, a 20% chance of showers before noon, partly sunny with a high near 85. Thursday night, a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms, mostly cloudy with a low around 57. And Friday, a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms afternoon, mostly sunny with a high near 82. And Friday night, a chance of showers and thunderstorms, mostly cloudy with a low around 54. And Saturday, cooling off a bit, it'll be mostly cloudy with a high near 76. Saturday night, mostly cloudy with a low around 50. And now, back to the news.
According to the Cortez Journal, 2 skunks have tested positive for rabies in La Plata County. One was in the Forest Lake subdivision and the other closer to downtown Bayfield. San Juan Basin Public Health urges residents to stay away from stray and wild animals, check pets' vaccination status, and take other precautions to avoid rabies. Rabies is regularly found in Colorado wildlife, especially skunks and bats. Interaction between humans and wild animals, particularly bats, skunks, foxes, and raccoons, increases the risk of rabies exposure to pets and people. To report wildlife that is acting abnormally, call La Plata County Animal Protection at 385-2900 or the Health Department at 247-5702. The rabies vaccine can prevent dogs and cats from getting the disease from wildlife and possibly exposing owners. According to the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, 180 animals have been found carrying rabies in the state so far this year, of which 167 were skunks and 10 were bats. The numbers represent only animals that were tested after they were witnessed exhibiting abnormal behaviors or had encounters with people, pets, or livestock. There are many more rabid animals in Colorado that never get tested. Rabies is spread primarily through the bite of animals with the disease. It is almost always fatal in humans when symptoms appear. People who have been bitten or scratched by an unfamiliar animal should contact their healthcare provider immediately.
From the Durango Herald in regional news, photo credits AP, Morgan Lee, and Russell Contreras. New Mexico, a state with deep historical ties to American Indians whose images and symbols are rooted in everything from the state flag to town names, has moved closer to electing the first Native American woman to the U.S. House of Representatives. Deb Haaland's victory last week in a Democratic primary for an open congressional seat encompassing the state's largest city of Albuquerque had Native Americans from Washington state to Oklahoma celebrating the possibility of a landmark in U.S. political history. Haaland, a tribal member of the Laguna Pueblo, who was born in Winslow, Arizona, defeated a crowded field of mainly Hispanic candidates. Haaland told the AP on Wednesday that she credited her victory to the movement of Native Americans voting that Robert Kennedy sparked in her 15 years working as an organizer registering such voters. The Native vote has helped a lot of candidates win. The Native vote can sway a statewide election, she said. I think if we keep working hard to get out to vote and to stay active, we can have a larger say in our politics. Haaland faces Republican former state lawmaker Janice Arnold Jones and Libertarian candidate Lloyd Princeton in the general election. Both candidates are white. Democrats have held the seat in recent years. News of Haaland's primary victory spread far beyond New Mexico, home to 23 tribes whose population is about 11% Native American. Her win brings us closer to this historic moment, said Mark Trahant, editor of Indian Country Today website. Congress has never had a voice like her. Trahant said Haaland's candidacy also generated excitement in Indian country as more women of color run for office. Paulette Jordan, a Democratic candidate for governor in Idaho and member of the Coeur d'Alene tribe, came to New Mexico to campaign on Haaland's behalf. Haaland, 57, also pulled together a multi-ethnic coalition that sought to work outside the usual white and Hispanic power brokers. Her far-left views may not be what the population at large will vote for in the end, but nevertheless, the potential for a Native American voice in Congress marks an interesting point in time. Ben Nighthorse Campbell, former senator from Colorado, is one of the most prominent half-Native American politicians, as his mother was Portuguese and his father Northern Cheyenne.
Reported by the Cortez Journal with a photo by the Journal. The Mancos Creative District announced Thursday that it has received a $32,409 grant from the History Colorado State Historical Fund to support the renovation of the Mancos Opera House. According to a news release, the grant will help repair the roof and gutter system to prevent further water damage to the building. The Mancos Creative District will seek bids to complete the construction and plans to finish the roof and gutter project by summer 2019. Mancos Opera House Company LLC purchased the Mancos Opera House in the fall of 2017 and continues the rehabilitation process to restore the Opera House to its former status as a landmark building and a community gathering place for performing arts and community events, Jody Jarling, Executive Director of the Mancos Creative District, wrote in a news release. The Mancos Opera House Company is owned by Philip and Linda Waters, who are providing matching funds to support the grant. This project will help ensure that the Mancos Opera House will continue to provide our community with wonderful opportunities for citizens of all ages and to be exposed to and enjoy the performing arts in our small town, Heather Alvarez, Mancos Town Manager, said in the news release.
Today's High Canyon Country happenings. In Rico, on June 25th at 7 p.m., there will be a special work session open to the public that will include both the Dolores County and Telluride school districts to discuss the future of the Rico school and students. This meeting will be held at the Rico Town Hall, and the regular Dolores County School Board meeting will be held on June 13th at 7 p.m. at the Rico Courthouse. June 15th, Friday night at the State Line Bar and Grill, they say to come join them for a delicious Cajun boil and live music by Donnie Johnson. Drink specials and a great time. Food starts at 5 p.m. The music starts at 6 p.m. and see you all there. A reminder that the Groundhog Lake RV Park remains open and accessible with all the recent fires causing forest closures. So be aware they are still hosting the Edith Jarman Youth Fishing Tournament on Saturday, June 16th, starting at 7:30 a.m. It's free for kids 15 years and under, with prizes, food, and fun fishing. Half and full day boat rentals are available, and it's sponsored by the Cortez Kiwanis and the Groundhog Lake RV Park. All of these happenings are posted on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the YouTube replays, weather, and original stories and local posts. To share your event or information, contact us. It's dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station 970-677-4119.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of June 4th through the 10th. Last Monday, smoke was spotted in Alkali Creek. A lightning strike the day before had started a fire which had been put out, but a hotspot had come back to life. When all was said and done, Pleasant View Fire, Dove Creek Fire, Egner Fire, BLM firefighters, and air support were kept busy battling the blaze. The Alkali Fire sprang to life briefly again on Thursday thanks to the quick action of our dedicated fire department. This threat didn't last long. 3 black cows and a red calf was reported to be in someone's yard. The owner was contacted. A lost wallet was reported. That concludes today's roundup. Stay tuned for continued updates. Thanks for tuning in. News at Noon airs at noon Monday through Thursday and then is rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. on each of those days. The weekday news shows are then replayed throughout the weekend as well.
And be sure to check us out on social media. Our Facebook page is DCTV News at Noon. Please like us there and share it with a friend.
For Kendra Cook with DCTV and the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. Thanks for watching.